Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And we are back. All right, we are behind the desk back again. Been a couple weeks now, hasn't it?
It has been. COVID.
I don't even know what week it is. Like, I don't know what episode this is. Like, I'm just excited to be back. I'm excited to be talking football again, getting back into the groove of things. COVID, holidays, everything kind of just threw everything off whack. You feeling better?
I am.
Good?
I hope I'm better for your sake.
Right? I mean, it'd be all right.
Yeah.
You can taste again or no?
No taste, no smell. COVID is a bitch. It's rough. It'll put me down for a while now. So I'm still trying to get back. So
I'm right there with you. I think I missed a pod with sick with COVID too. So it happens. I think was that last year or was that this year?
You missed.
It's been
a
while.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever it is. All right, guys. We are back with some football content. We're going off the cuff today. All right. We didn't plan any segments or anything. There's just so much to talk about that it felt like let's just have a naturalistic conversation more than anything else. And you were talking about this right before we started recording, and I thought it was interesting. I know nothing about this subject, next to nothing anyway. I've had my head in the sand doing draft stuff for the past couple weeks, so this is all you. I'm going to let you take it away.
It's the transfer market, right?
Yeah, college football,
so there is, I guess they're allowed to play. Players can get endorsements now, basically. And with that being said, all of this top tier talent now is shifting. It's going to where they can get paid. And there's a guy, Caleb Williams for Oklahoma. He stepped in for Spencer Rattler this year. Spencer Rattler really didn't end up hitting like he was supposed to. He was supposed to be unanimous number one pick. He ended up transferring out to South Carolina, and he's over there getting his own little deals going. But right now, there's like a bidding war, if you will, for Caleb Williams out of Oklahoma. And Georgia, some anonymous source stepped forward and said that Georgia has an offer of over $3 million for Caleb Williams to go be the next quarterback there. And, I mean, he's clearly an upgrade, I would say, from Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett at Georgia right now, very good quarterback. I would say he's more, Jake Fromm just gets the ball to the running back, gets the ball to the playmakers, really doesn't, make those mistakes. Caleb Williams has the ability and potential to stretch the ball down the field and give Georgia more of like a Justin Fields kind of type to it. And it's just crazy to think about the overall landscape of the way that it's changing with these athletes legally able to make this money now. I want to see if you thought it was a good idea, bad idea. Does it mean that just top dog markets are going to run the thing? Because that's my fear, is that who can compete with $3 million if that's the case? Because right now it's this understood thing, hey, highest bidder gets Caleb Williams right now.
Yeah, I think, so it's always so hard because we've been saying for years, these kids are putting their bodies on the line. Obviously, yes, they're getting a college education, but the top tier kids that are about to do it professionally in a couple of years, they should be paid in what is $1 billion market that for years they weren't being paid in. So exactly. So, or at least, the money they were getting was under the table. Obviously, Heisman winners were getting paid for autographs and stuff, but it wasn't a legal thing. There's a lot of rules against it and all that. So it is tough for me as somebody who was a proponent for allowing these kids to make money, and I'm glad they can. But you're right. It does feel like there's a real possibility that this turns into the MLB, where the bigger markets can pay whatever they want, and the smaller markets, there's no cap, and the smaller markets just have to deal with what they can. And obviously that's professional baseball versus college football. I understand those are two very different things, but that connection between there is no cap in the MLB and teams like the Yankees, well, they can pay for anybody. Now teams like Alabama, Georgia, these top tier SEC schools who have probably already been doing it under the table, now they can do it.
But now that it's legally though, loud and proud.
Yeah.
And you got to think, who has probably some of the most influential boosters of all the time? It's gonna be these top 20 programs that are out there. And even Texas, I think this might be one of the best things to ever happen to a school like Texas, because when it comes to recruiting, being in the state like that, there is no excuse, and I mean no excuse, same for Texas A&M, as to why they couldn't dip into that and capitalize on that state where I don't even think they have to cross their border and they could build a top 20 recruiting class every single year in, year out. And right now, the Quinn Ewers, I think is his name, Ohio State quarterback, he forgoed his senior season in high school and went ahead and enrolled early at Ohio State. Well, now he's transferring out, and he is going to Texas. Mm-hmm. And they're saying he's the highest graded quarterback prospect ever, other than Bryce Young. And Bryce Young, we know, just reset the bar whenever he's 2 years ago is whenever he was on the scene. So it's really going to benefit some of these big-time teams, and I think it's going to help get them back to normal. Texas, being one of the main ones.
Yeah, I think, man, I don't know. I keep going back and forth with it the more you're talking about it, because, like I said at the beginning of this segment, I really haven't put a lot of thought into this. My head's been in the sand with draft stuff, and it is this kind of dichotomy between, I do think these kids deserve to be paid. I think it should be paid for what you do and not paid for what the hype is around you or what you did in high school, essentially. So there's a little bit of an issue there. But also, like, it does suck that, like, the best center in the country ever going to get paid? Like, is the best, you know what I mean?
It just
Probably
depends,
not.
I guess. I mean, so the really good aspect behind it, though, is not on these big market deals, I guess, primarily, but there are a lot of times where, you know, some of these players, like I know Auburn, all the Auburn offensive and defensive linemen, those big boys, they did a truck commercial with Coach Harsin. They did a Ford deal. So I'm sure they were able to get a little piece of the pie off of that.
Yeah.
So there's nice things now that they can get little sponsorships here and there. There's small things. I think we got to talk about the, was it Travis Hunter? Was that his name? The #1 overall recruit that was committed to FSU and ended up flipping over to Deion's place.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, that is a massive thing, and it was understood that if he was able to go over to JSU, which is a HBCU, primarily black college, that Barstool was going to step in and give the kid $1 million. Because if you're taking your name away from FSU, where you don't really need the money to do that. You know, FSU is built on that, and the success that y'all have is roots deep enough with cornerback success, you're fine. But to go to JSU, you're really taking a big step saying, hey, I hope my talent can stand out at a place like this where I don't know if the lights are bright. Deion's there, of course, and that was the kid's idol, ultimately why he went. But I cannot help but think he would not have made that move if he didn't have some money in the pocket on the way over there. I refuse to believe that, or else we've seen more kids do that in the past.
Absolutely. Look, it's a tough thing for me. Ultimately, I think I side with, I'm glad these kids are able to get paid for what they're worth.
So you're not upset at all that you lost the #1 recruit?
You know, I just don't stress about things like that. I really don't. I think it's just because, again, like, my love is the NFL draft, and I look at things like that, and I look at the amount of times that, like, you know, you hear about these high-end recruits don't end up working out. I mean, Texas got the #1. Now he's in, what you said, South Carolina he went?
Yeah, Spencer Rattler left OU, and
I don't put a whole lot of stock in. Obviously, I'd rather have him than not have him. I'm disappointed. I'm not overly stressed out about it. It's not like we lost a guy who was a proven commodity that I'd seen on the field. So I don't stress about it.
It doesn't always translate. You know, they did that thing whenever, I guess it was Tampa Bay, whenever they won the Super Bowl last year. They technically, if you went back and look at roster, they only had 2 5-stars.
Yeah.
The whole team, top to bottom.
Exactly.
The entire team was only 2 5-stars that really attributed to that.
I didn't realize
now,
that.
there's some big hitters out there like a Myles Garrett. He was #2 in his class whenever he came out. And, of course, we've seen that translate. But there was also a guy, Kyle Allen, was the #1 product quarterback, Texas A&M. I don't even know where he's bouncing around nowadays.
Kyle Allen? Yeah, was that the quarterback?
The quarterback,
He went to, I think he's with Washington. He was with Carolina, and then he went to Washington. It's like the third string of both the spots.
Doesn't always translate as a result. But, I mean, you know, you're kind of lined up for success whenever it's like that.
Of course, yeah. You'd rather have all 5 stars.
Bryce Young Young has the hype behind him.
Well, yeah, Alabama gets a lot of 5 stars. They're pretty good. So I'm not dissing 5 stars by any means. I'm just saying it didn't stress me out. I was going to look at it and just kind of take a step back a little bit, because as I said, I do think I ultimately side with, I think it's good that these kids are getting paid when I know the people above them, the people running the show, are getting paid billions, or at least millions.
And they're not even putting their bodies
exactly.
out there. Yeah.
So I'm glad these kids are able to get paid. I do think there's going to be negative aspects to it. The one thing that I worry about is, like, just kind of taking a step back, and I'm not going to put any kid's name out there but I'm just saying, as a whole, I at least know how I was at 18, and I was a dorky, non-athletic kid, so I can't imagine what it would be to be the shit your entire life and then have money in your pocket. I do worry about, like, you know, okay, I'll throw Johnny Manziel as a guy who kind of went too hard too fast, you know, in college and got that party, you know, mindset, and it kind of fell off in the NFL. And it really, I feel like, did ruin his career in a way where we don't know what he could have been if he was, you know, head in the books or head in the playbook and all these things, and didn't stress about, you know, being cool or whatever. I do wonder about that aspect. Is the money gonna kind of, you know, infiltrate these kids' minds and you know, screw up their future in that respect? That's the only thing
it really could. You would hope that the university would have something in place now to maybe where it can be more public. Maybe they can have a more openly hands-on approach about money management, some financial advice, some being able to control this. Because if I was the shit going to a popular university out there, and you know that you could go party, you could go do whatever. Listen, these kids did that before they got paid, but now you're saying that they have a couple million. They have these top tier ones truly have millions of dollars right there at their hands before they ever even get to the NFL. So I guess we're really going to see which guys can rise to the top of that, because that adds another fold to it about the pressure that you have to handle. You know, you can really see, and I'm sure it's another reason. Just it sucks to say as an Auburn fan, but go to Alabama, because I promise you, Nick Saban has the best interest at heart, regardless of any of that money, all that stuff. He'll take care of you, and he's always done it. I mean, some of his interviews are some of the most highly respected ones that I have. Seeing the way he was able to help Julio, and to see his kind of character translate into the NFL, and you just don't hear about a lot of guys from Alabama having problems like that. He really has, I feel like, all the ends tied, you know, just he crossed his T's, dotted his I's. Everything's just good to go up there. So hopefully other people can look at that and follow suit.
Yeah, man, I absolutely agree. Let's, you know, this is a weird transition, but transitioning to somebody who doesn't have, you know, their I's dotted and their T's crossed. What happened in New York on Sunday afternoon with Antonio Brown?
Yeah, Antonio
Sorry,
Brown.
You didn't know where I was going with that.
Well, I forgot that it was an away game. Yeah. I was like, if you said Tampa, I was there, but no, I did forget that it was an away game. Yeah, man. I mean, we're talking, what was it, third quarter? They're down 24-10. I mean, it just wasn't a good game.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the camera pans, because it was. They were substituting players on the field. This was during the actual game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and Antonio Brown takes off that jersey, takes off that shirt, throws it into the stands. And I know if you're watching us, clearly you care about football, so you already know about this Antonio Brown dilemma. It's different. I've seen a lot of people close to him, Brady being one of them, in saying, just be careful what you say. Like, you don't know what the player's going through. You don't know this. You don't know that. And that's true. I don't know what Antonio Brown's going through. I don't know what he's done, but I also know that he's had a lot of poor choices, and I feel like all of this could be contained and handled in a different manner. And I don't care what you have to say about Antonio Brown or the situation, any of that. He could have handled that better on that day, on that moment, right then and there, regardless of what it was. From what I understand, he was hurt. And Bruce Arians told him to get in the game. He said no. Next thing you know, boom, he popped off.
Yeah, man, it's tough. I remember, I feel like we talked about Antonio Brown one of the first episodes we did on this show, and we kind of panned him, right? I mean, like when we first started, I remember talking.
Fiasco, right?
Yeah, that was when he iced his foot or some shit like that.
Oh, okay. Frostbite.
Yeah, frostbite gate. I mean, and so much has happened over the past 2.5, 3 years now. And in that time, I have kind of taken a step back from shitting on really any player and trying to understand that, like, I don't know the full situation. Like, I don't know the full situation of, like, people I know, let alone people I've never fucking known, you know, wouldn't have any way of knowing. So it is tough. Like you said, you hope that there's, like, whatever's missing with him, you hope he figures it out just something as a person. But, man, let's take a step back. Like, he was found at the Nets game that same night or the night after or whatever. So like it feels like he's having a midlife crisis or something like this. That feels like what's happening. And you know, to each their own. Whatever it is, what it is. How does this affect the Tampa Bay Bucks?
They're really hurting right now. I mean, they lost Chris Godwin. They were struggling in that game, and yes, Brady was able to come back 93 yards as he always does. You know, but that's the New York Jets, and it's going to be different. They're going to have a lot of these playmakers step up. Mike Evans is going to have an insurmountable role where he's not going to be able to have the attention pulled away, because I think they have Tyler Johnson, who's getting some meaningful minutes right now.
Yeah. And Tyler Johnson is very much the same style of player as a Mike Evans, as far as like a go up and get. Not the same level by any means. I'm just saying Tyler Johnson, a big body type of guy.
He fits in the X more than he does any of the others. And they have lost both wide receivers in a Chris Godwin and an Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
And the new slot threat, they're going to have to find some people to step up, because if they can't run the ball, if there's times where Brady doesn't have the time to sit back in the pocket and truly read and evaluate the options, you need a playmaker to go to. That was the beneficial thing about Antonio Brown, is that
Leonard Fournette is still hurt. You don't know when he's coming back. It does feel like the Bucs have lost a lot of their key pieces at the wrong time coming into the playoffs. You wonder, man. Obviously struggling against the Jets. I don't overthink that one. I really don't. Jets are, you know, a struggling team, but hey, they're going to be okay next year. They're on the up and up, I feel like, and the Bucs had a bad game. Let's not overthinking that altogether. Last thing I want to say on Tampa Bay, or on Antonio Brown specifically, I did think it was crazy. You know, a stat line of 8 receptions, 55 yards, and a touchdown is not ridiculous for Antonio Brown, right?
Not at all.
Very, very reasonable, right? He was 8 receptions away from a $250,000 bonus. He was 55 yards away from another $250,000 bonus, a different bonus, and he was 1 touchdown away from another $250,000 bonus. He left $1 million on the field with a stat line that's very, very reasonable. Probably could have gotten to finish the Jets game, and obviously next week whoever they play.
That's unfortunate, man. Has he? I think I just saw something on my phone not too long ago. I don't know if he has been officially released as of now. I know Bruce Arians said he is no longer a Buck, but I don't think technicality-wise he is on the open market. I don't know how that's working right now. I think that I saw something saying that the NFL needs to monitor it closely because he might need to get some help before he just gets to go out and play for another team possibly, or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I think his playing days are done.
You think it's all the way done? I always err on these guys are going to get another chance if they can play. I really do.
It's Antonio Brown, too.
Yeah.
And he was having a good year. Ever since he came back and won the Super Bowl, I'd seen some stuff that he had said. It had come out and sounded like, okay, he kind of sounds like he has his head on straight right now. It kind of sounds like he's better than the things used to be, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, it just in this season, 42 receptions, 545 yards, 13 touchdowns,
4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns, 13 average yards per catch. And in a season where he did have a lot of injuries and he was battling back through a lot of stuff. So he only played, 7 games? So that's a pretty good stat line for 7 games, I feel like. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Maybe he plays again. Just looking up as you were saying that, it doesn't look like he is cut yet. He's still technically a Tampa Bay Buck. Would imagine he doesn't play again ever for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think you can pull that stunt and ever play again for that team.
Yeah, there's no way.
That's why I was saying
it was the fashion in which he did what he did.
Yeah, I would think he doesn't get the opportunity to play. I would think most coaches in the NFL don't respect that and probably would never give him a chance to walk in their locker room. He's already kind of burned bridges with 4 teams in the NFL now, and you would think that's gonna. I would think there's only a handful of teams that would give him another chance. I'll put it that way. I don't know. I'm sure there's at least one, but I don't know where that's going to come from, and I doubt it comes this year.
He's 33 as well.
He is 33, so he's still good though. That's the thing.
Oh, he's damn
33,
good.
But he's talented.
Yeah.
All right, hey, let's go through here. Do you have anything you want to bring up? I want to look up the standings right now and kind of talk about that. Anywhere else you want to go with this?
No, I mean it would be this. It would be the standings. I think is the next spot we got to go. Props to the Tennessee Titans. Me and you both were at that game. I know we had to see your Dolphins get the crap kicked out of them, unfortunately. And what was it, 34-3?
Yeah.
Listen, I stand by it. Titans did not play well enough for 34-3 on that day. If you look at the box score, that's like, whoa, the Titans must have been firing in all cylinders. Right now, I think the Dolphins weren't able to capitalize. It was ugly conditions.
Yeah. We had no offense.
Exactly.
Tua sucks, and we can't remove the ball if Tua can't get his
with the
slant
Bengals beating the Chiefs, the Titans hold the 1 seed. And
all they have to do is beat the Texans next week.
And the Texans already beat them, so they're definitely due to beat the Texans.
Yeah.
At this rate,
isn't that wild, man? If the Titans could legitimately go 12-5, Bills can't touch them, Chiefs can't touch them. Well, Chiefs can't touch them, but they have the tiebreaker. Chiefs can touch it for
win and a Titans loss. But the Titans beat them.
But yeah, the Titans beat them. So wow, that is so wild to think. Exactly what the Titans needed to happen happened. There's a scenario where I think it's the Colts. I believe the Raiders and Chargers play next week, right? Both at 9-7, and they play Sunday night. If the Colts lose to the Jaguars, which is very unlikely, but if they do, the Chargers and Raiders are in this game, and it would be the most advantageous thing to kneel the ball for 4 quarters.
I saw that. I was going to talk to you about that, saying that if they were to have a tie, both teams would make the playoffs.
Well, yeah, they're playing for nothing. They're playing for the 6 or 7 seed, and one of them's going to get the 6 seed, one of them's going to get the 7 seed, and you never really know how that goes, but there's a scenario where the coaches are looking ahead and thinking, man, I don't know if I want to play the second or the 2nd seed or the 3rd seed or whatever, however it works out. Let's look at the NFC here just for a second.
NFC is very well penciled in. The Philadelphia Eagles beating Washington just like they did.
Oh, it's over.
They officially clinched the 6. I believe the 7's still up for grabs.
The 7 is the only one up for grabs.
The 7 is the only one.
Eagles are in. Cardinals are in. Cardinals and Rams are in. So we don't know who will win that division, but it'll probably be the Rams. Packers are in. Bucks are in.
Bro, it's over.
It's
49ers at 7.
So it's not official, but the 49ers would have to lose, and I guess the Saints would have to win. That's the only way. That would be the only way, because we're looking at right now, just looking at the standings. The Saints are 8-8. The 49ers are 9-7. So
and also at the Eagles at 9-7. But I would say that the Eagles just clinching probably.
Well, yeah, they have a clinch mark right here, so they are clinched.
Yeah. So okay. So that must be what it is, and it's 49ers and Saints.
Yeah, that's 49ers the only.
Lost, Saints dub.
That's interesting. I'm gonna look it up a different way.
Ain't no way the Saints are making it, right?
No, I'm gonna look it up a different way and see clinching. Where do you want to go with this?
Well, I mean, the AFC is probably the most exciting, I guess, whenever it comes to that. And I wanted to ask you, saying that I guess we could say that it's favored that the Titans beat the Texans. So let's say the Titans get that 1 seed. They're about to get a Derrick Henry back. Who would be your nightmare matchup if you're the Tennessee Titans? Because we have a lot of Titans fans who listen to our podcast. Who is your nightmare matchup out of all these teams that might make it to you? You know, you're the 1 seed, so you'll catch the lowest of the draw out of all of them. Who are you scared of?
I think Baltimore, right?
So, no, I was thinking about it, and Baltimore's out.
Nah, Baltimore can get. I'm looking at it right now. Baltimore.
Oh, Baltimore needs a lot.
Baltimore clinches a playoff with Baltimore has to win you said nightmare scenario. So this is a realistic thing.
Right. Okay.
Indianapolis and the Chargers both have to lose, and and Miami has to lose.
The
but
Colts
Miami's
have
not playing
beat
for
Jacksonville in Jacksonville since 2014.
Yeah. So very unlikely, but a nightmare scenario.
That's very likely that the Jags beat the Colts.
Okay. I'm sorry, I missed that.
The Colts have not beat the Jags.
Yeah, but they're gonna beat the Jags.
2014 though. That's a long time.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That's
but I mean,
they play every year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like an eight in a row streak. They got them.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, I don't think I'd want to. Well, the Bengals have the division, so you're not going to play the Bengals. You don't want to play the Colts a third time.
I was saying
I don't think the
Colts is the nightmare matchup to me because of the way that they're using Jonathan Taylor. They are very similar to the Titans, and it just does not sound like a matchup that you would like to get in. A lot of things against you. You don't beat a team 3 times. Mm-hmm. You don't beat a team that's firing like the Colts are firing. I know they just fell to the Raiders, but when it gets to the playoffs, running the ball really travels well, good defense. They remind me of the Titans. I don't want no piece of that as a Titans fan.
Yeah, I'm here with that. Just to confirm, I just looked it up. It's going to be the New Orleans Saints play Atlanta. The San Francisco 49ers play the Rams. So
the Rams are going,
and the Rams are playing to clinch that division too. So they are playing this game. So they could technically beat the San Francisco 49ers and you have the Saints in. Man, what if the Rams beat the 49ers and instead of having to play the 49ers in the playoffs, they get to play the Saints in the playoffs? That's a dub.
They have major implications to win that game too. Yeah. That's a big brain move. I mean, who would you rather play?
I'd much rather play the Saints.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Saints are playing Atlanta, Atlanta's 7-9. I need Atlanta to lose this game, and I win a bet.
That's going to be going to be an ugly game.
It's going to be an ugly game.
It's going to be a weird one.
I got $10 on Atlanta going under 7.5 for win total at the beginning of the year, so I need that to be a loss. Can't believe Atlanta got to 7 wins. Honestly,
I know. Props to them.
Yeah.
I was going to say props to the Raiders for somehow after all the controversy and all the headlines that they've been in, they're 9-7.
Yeah, and they're in it. I mean, they have a real shot at it.
As long as they win, they're in for sure. And then there's still a chance we know if the Colts lose. I'm pretty sure
if they win, they're in. And the Chargers in the same boat. If they win, they're in. So
Chargers are scary to me. The Chargers have a lot of firepower. I think where they could be out of all the teams like that. Raiders, I think the Chargers are better.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Patriots, they clinch the AFC number 1 seed, only first round bye and home field advantage with. They have to win. Buffalo has to lose, and Kansas. Everybody has to lose basically for New England to get.
Well, they're the only ones that have the tiebreaker over the Titans. So
yeah.
That's the only way that I think the Titans lose the 1 seed, right?
Well, but the Titans still have to lose to tie with the Titans because they have a game ahead of them. That's interesting, man. Yeah, it does feel like this 18th game is pretty much wrapped up. This is the season, it feels like, because it feels like always, that last game of the season is kind of a toss-up game, or it doesn't really matter a whole lot for most teams. This year, it feels like the 17th game really mattered and the 18th game not mattering much at all. Is that just because, you add an extra game that the second to last game is always going to matter more? Or would it have been different this year if, there were 17 games? Would week 17 have been just ridiculous?
Yeah, it's a weird happenstance just because you would like to think this is a negative argument against having this extra game right now. Because other than seeing 1 through 7 interchangeable here and there, there's only, like we said, two matchups for that 7 seed going. You have the 49ers Saints, and then I guess you have some weird stuff that can happen over there on the AFC side for it. But primarily, a lot of it is locked up already. So I don't know if it was beneficial for it overall. I don't really know who it was able to help and hurt the most. But I mean, I'm glad we get to see more football. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep going back and forth on it. I think I would like an extra bye week. I think I would have preferred add an extra bye week, then you have another week of football. The NFL makes money, they makes similar amount of money, and you're not just killing these players' bodies. Because man, playing NFL football, I mean, if you win the Super Bowl, you're basically playing NFL football for half the year. And then you're preparing for football for 3 months leading up to the season. You only have a couple months to really, get your body right.
Yeah,
I just think
and the physical demand is at an all-time high right now too.
Absolutely.
It's grueling. But I think one of the most understated rule changes that is out there that I don't hear people talk about, and I think it happened last year, was the one team getting the bye now. That is monumental compared to what teams are fighting for. Saying that you could be the 2 seed versus the 1 seed, and we're talking you could just both be like 12-5 football teams, or whatever the math adds up. Yeah, it'd be 12-5, right?
Yeah.
And be a 2 seed and lose week 1. It used to be a lock that all you had to do was play 2 games from there, and you're in the Super Bowl. You were always just good to go. I think it's really going to shake up the way that we see some of these playoffs. I expect the low seed to make a run. I can't speak on who it's going to be, where it's going to be, NFC, AFC, whatever. I think we're going to have a non-division winner, a non-1 through 4 seed play in the championship game.
I could see that, especially in the AFC. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. It would surprise me, certainly, but it wouldn't shock me if the Chargers were able to win the next 3 games.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they would have to beat the Raiders to get in, and then they get to play the 2 seed. That could very well be
it could be
Chiefs. It could probably be the Chiefs, and I think they can beat the Chiefs. I really do. I mean, they match up well against a division opponent.
Went to overtime with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's at least a reasonable thing. Definitely think they can beat the Bengals, which I think they already did. Did they beat the Bengals, or did they get their ass beat by the Bengals?
I think they got their ass beat.
I think they did. Okay, well, you never know. That's an
Burrow's been lighting it up, man.
Oh, man. It's been so up and down. It wouldn't shock me a bit if they were the first team out. Like, I could see them getting blown out in the playoffs.
And playoff inexperience, because when it's playoff time, it's just a different feeling to it, and that's why I've always given credit to like a Tom Brady, if you will, regardless of those wide receiver weapons that are around him. I think that they're going to be good, primed to go. Packers pretty untouchable right now too.
Yeah, Packers seem a shoo-in. Jonathan Taylor at plus 1,400 to get the MVP. Rodgers at minus 400 to get a 2-time MVP and then maybe leave. God, 2-time MVP and at his stage in his career. I know Brady did it at 40, but that's still really impressive. Brady at plus 550. I think the lack of weapons is going to hurt him down the stretch. I just really would be surprised. Burrow jumps up to plus 1,400. I still kind of want to bet on Jonathan Taylor to take it. I know it's unlikely. It's a running back and all that.
Lackluster week this
he did well.
I wouldn't even say lackluster. He's still putting up like his stat lines and stuff. But why is no one talking? Listen, if we're going to talk about Jonathan Taylor, why is no one talking about Cooper Kupp? Not even being on there. I mean, come on now. Cooper Kupp,
okay, now in the top 6, he's on there.
Rookie of the year.
He's plus 14. Offensive Rookie of the Year?
No, Player of the Year, sorry, not Rookie. Offensive Player of the Year.
It's Jamar Chase's Rookie of the Year, right? We agree on that. He's going to beat out Mac.
Jamar just dropped a 250-yard game and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That is unheard of.
And Mac Jones has just played. He's been good. I don't want to take anything away from him, but I don't think he's lit anything up by any means.
I have a bold take on who I think the best rookie quarterback's been.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's Davis Mills. I'm serious. He's leading them in QBR.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to.
All rookie quarterbacks, he's leading them in QBR. He has the most efficient game, throwing for a 300-yard game out of all the rookies that is out there. I'm saying most impressive. I'm not saying who's really going to have the longevity. I'm not saying who's going to step up and be just a franchise leader. And
well, for the team he's on too. I mean, there's a real argument there. I get that.
He's had some really good games. He seriously has. Underrated overall. No, he's not going to be Rookie of the Year because he hasn't even played all the games, but there it is, the Offensive Player of the Year. That one is the most exciting one because that's a dead even tie at Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor.
It's a non-quarterback award essentially, right?
Which is why quarterback is getting MVP.
Yeah. I think I will take Jonathan Taylor over Cooper Kupp. I think he has been more impactful for his team than Cooper Kupp. I think you could. Cooper Kupp's been amazing,
agree with that.
But Jonathan Taylor has been the workhorse for that team.
You take Jonathan Taylor off that team, and they're
a different team.
Horrible.
Cooper Kupp, I think, could obviously he's a very different team. I think they could make do with other wide receivers. I just don't feel the same way about that with Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. I don't know. That's close.
Both at minus 110 coin flip. I don't want to.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't blame anybody for saying I'm wrong and taking Cooper Kupp. I wouldn't blame the NFL for giving it to Cooper Kupp by any means. But this is an interesting one. Coach of the Year. I don't think Zach Taylor's a coach of the year. I really don't. I feel like it's just been such an up and down season. The amount of weapons that they have alone, they're supposed to win the amount of games they've won. They're supposed to be competitive with the Chiefs. They should be. They have the talent. So I mean, I don't want to take anything away from him. Yeah, he's great. He deserves to be the head coach moving forward. But there's been some games where they've just fallen off.
You know, you're right about that. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think it goes to him. And I also would like to say that I think they've been very, very fortunate, knock on wood for Bengals and whatnot, dodging this injury-ridden season overall.
Yeah.
They really haven't had to navigate through any of that turmoil. They
lost T. Higgins for a couple weeks. Other than that,
they have a very bolstered-up wide receiver room.
Yeah.
It's Mike Vrabel for me because of the injuries. And then if you're going off of coaching ability alone and rebound, it's Bill Belichick. That's just a done deal. You can't even argue with any of that. But having to navigate the injuries goes to Vrabel for me.
I think LaFleur sitting at plus 170, technically second place on the odds spectrum. I think he deserves a shout out as a guy who has been a part of 13-win seasons in a row, starting his coaching career off with that. I know he's had Aaron Rodgers. It helps to have great players.
Yeah.
But great coaching plus great players equals great results, and that's what they've had the past couple of years.
He's
LaFleur deserves. I mean, and he's navigated Aaron Rodgers, which I love Aaron Rodgers. I don't like to shit on him nearly as much as some people do, but like I will fully admit that he is a personality in the room that a coach has to be prepared for, and I feel like he's done that very, very well. I think LaFleur deserves it, and he has handled the controversy throughout the offseason, all of this shit going on. It's been a whirlwind for him, and they're winning games, and the team feels stronger than ever. I think LaFleur deserves it a little bit too. You're right, Bill Belichick.
I see LaFleur there, though. Having that type of just magnitude, what Aaron Rodgers brings to that organization, and Aaron Rodgers, very outspoken, knows what he brings to this organization, and being a young-minded coach like that, having to try to, I guess, rein that in and say, hey, can we try? It almost feels like you would have to ask Aaron Rodgers, hey, can we try this, this, and this? Because if not, so just seeing the way that he was able to handle that relationship was good overall. But listen, 13 wins is a curse for the Packers. It is a curse. Time and time again, the end of the playoffs is the by far favorite, and something happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if they get the Lombardi or not. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is staying. I've already seen that the Packers are saying that they're going to franchise tag Devontae Adams, so it's not even like Aaron Rodgers gets to leave and have his partner in crime.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I don't know. I could see Aaron. I think it's tough to leave after 2 seasons the way it's been. I don't know. It felt like such a foregone conclusion at the beginning of the year that he was going to be gone. Feels like, where could he go? He could go to Pittsburgh. I mean, I feel like they would welcome him with open arms. Yeah. But you don't have the weapons that you had in Green Bay, I don't think. I mean, it's similar. You could make do certainly with those guys. I like the
receivers better, but
receivers overall, top to bottom, yeah. Because I think their number 3 and 4 receiver blows the doors off of Green Bay's number 3 or 4.
Rotation.
They have a Najee Harris at running back. Their offensive line isn't good, but you could add that in the draft. I don't know that I could see that working. I could see realistic. Maybe I'm a fanboy, but I could see the Dolphins working too. I think there's a great defense on the other side. There's good wide receivers. I fucking love it. There's good wide receivers. You have one of the young stars in the league right now at wide receiver anyway. Devontae Parker's still really good. Yeah, again, same thing as with Pittsburgh. Offensive line isn't good, so that should definitely be a factor there. I don't know. There's a lot of places you could go with that.
I think it is a surefire thing to say that I see Russell Wilson on the move before I see Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I disagree with that.
I think
it'd be the other way around.
It's already a growing concern. What was that the Bleacher Report just put out? Growing concern that the turmoil in Seattle, where Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, one of them's going.
I think it's gonna be Pete. I think they realize this year that it's got to be Pete.
Someone's going. So. You cannot have the season that you have and it be that bad and someone not pay the price for that. Yeah, but I think it's Russ is going to be able to say, "Hey, I want out."
Yeah, but I think it's also the team has to realize, man, we didn't put a whole lot around Russell Wilson this year. Like, yeah, they have 2 good wide receivers. I don't want to, even though DK had a down year, he's still really good. But, I mean, an offensive line that's lackluster and a defense that's next to non-existent. Oh, and, yeah, our star quarterback got hurt for 6 weeks, came back, had a messed up finger, and really wasn't the same for 2 or 3 weeks after that. He's really just now getting back to normal, and you can see it because he's blowing teams out.
You're Russell. Of course, Seattle should want to retain Russell no matter what. But Russell, are you trying to say that you can go somewhere better because there's a better option out there versus Seattle being able to really rebuild and turn it around?
I think if I'm Russell Wilson, I would kill to be in Aaron Rodgers' shoes. I think if I'm Russell Wilson, I would look at what Aaron Rodgers has around him. And yeah, there's certainly things you can be upset about. Like, it was shitty that they traded up to draft his replacement, but that happens in the NFL and you have to get over that. It's shitty that, some of the things, that Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to be a decision maker the way he thinks he deserves to be. But I mean, it feels like that might be changing anyway. If I'm Russell, I would look at, the team around him, the coaching staff, everything that is set up in Green Bay. And I would think, man, I have an opportunity to have a lot of success, versus if I'm in Seattle, I would probably want to go, because I don't see that same thing. I see two great wide receivers. I see a couple pieces on the offensive line. I see, a running game that could be good, could be bad. But in a defense that's horrible, and it's not going to get better over 1 year. It's not.
I like the way you said that whenever it comes to, because you have Aaron Rodgers who's over here like, man, I want some help. I want this. Kind of comes off as a complainer. He has earned that right to complain in his own regard for how he's phenomenal talent. He's legendary. Going to go down as a top 5 all time for sure. But then you have Russell over here, who I think is in a far worse spot. We don't hear nowhere near as much. We just started hearing a few things about it here and there. Yeah. Like you said, Russell would almost kill to be in a spot like Aaron Rodgers is, and Aaron Rodgers still isn't satisfied. I think if I'm Russell Wilson, I try to make the moves necessary to be satisfied, and it would be faster to do that on another team than it would for Seattle to turn the ship around, because depending on what happens with the coaching regime, it takes time to get a coach in there. It takes time just to get the talent built up.
I mean, this year is lost as far as draft picks. I mean, you don't have a number one
division.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. You don't want to have to play all those guys, those superstars. Man, it's interesting. Let's just, as we're going through this, we talked about Coach of the Year. Let's not talk about who we would, bet on. Let's take that away. Who do we genuinely think it is? I genuinely think it's Matt LaFleur, and
Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel and I think both of us, our number 2 would probably be Bill Belichick.
Yes, for sure.
My number 2 is, I think it's LaFleur, then Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick not getting that respect is ridiculous to me. The fact that Zach Taylor is the favorite, I just don't agree with.
I don't either. Like I said, it goes down to how he was able to handle the season, and it really speaks volumes to me with how you navigate the injuries. That's literally what your job is as a coach, and seeing not your only job, but the behind the scenes things, and being able to bring guys up, move guys down, really plug and play, evaluate here. And I've just really gotten to see how Mike Vrabel, he's so open about it. He's so, because they got hit hard. They had over 85 guys total of joined this team.
The fact they've had as many injuries as the 2019 Dolphins and the 2020 49ers. Both teams won 5 games or less. All right, and that was a stat that I saw like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So they probably had more since then.
And they lost their guy.
They have had 88 different players take snaps for them on the team. That does not happen. 88 different players. It's a 55-man roster. Like, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The fact that they've been able to navigate all of that is incredibly impressive.
And they currently hold the 1 seed.
The 1 seed.
So primarily Coach of the Year and success go hand in hand. Why is Zach Taylor above a Mike Vrabel when the Titans are statistically above, and they've dealt with a lot more, and they're better than the Bengals right now on paper, too.
Yeah, I agree with that. Comeback player of the year. I disagree with who the favorite is here, too. I know Dak Prescott, obviously a Cowboy, is going to get the love. Joe Burrow, I think, deserves it, man. Joe Burrow's been playing lights out the past couple weeks.
He has been. He has almost 1,000 yards on the Chiefs. Or not the Chiefs, in his divisional matchups against the Browns is who it was. Like, that's insane. The Ravens, too. He's just killing it, lighting it up. I get why it's Dak, though, because I guess the severity of Dak, and I guess just being on America's team.
Yeah, and it is close, just to be clear for those listening. Dak is minus 130, Joe Burrow's plus 105. Very, very likely that Joe Burrow, it's very possible that Joe Burrow wins it.
Betting on I guess the last game to see kind of how it goes? Because, I mean, if Burrow comes out and hangs a 300, 400 piece like he has been,
he could easily do it.
Dak and the Cowboys kind of been struggling as of late, besides that last blowout.
Yeah, and Dak's not really playing for anything, right? I don't know. There might be a scenario where he could get that 1 seed.
Yeah, they've had division wrapped up for 2 or 3 weeks now. They were the first ones to claim that division.
Yeah.
To claim a division.
Last one we got to talk about, Defensive Rookie of the Year is Micah Parsons. We know that. Defensive Player of the Year. Micah Parsons is in that conversation too. He's ahead of Aaron Donald, Travon Diggs, Myles Garrett, and Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn, I didn't realize had that good of a season, to be honest with you. He's quietly.
Yeah, wow.
He's quiet. I mean, obviously, I believe that he's there for a reason, but he's quietly had a good season because I just had not heard that. TJ Watt, to me, he wrapped it up last week.
He has 20 sacks, right?
Yeah. And last night he put up, what, a 3-sack performance or something?
And
I think he wrapped it up.
He kind of got snubbed last year when it with the Aaron Donald thing because statistically TJ Watt was better, but we know the type of company and I guess command that Aaron Donald takes on it when he's on a football field. He's getting double, triple teamed all the time. It's going to be TJ Watt, but Micah Parsons, give him his flowers too. For what he's done, it's been phenomenal. I do have one thing I want to say about Travon Diggs, and I never like bashing players. He is a very, very good ball hawk ability corner. He has given up the most yards in the NFL on cornerbacks, though. He has over 1,000 yards against him, and it's not close. Teams hyper-target the man because they know that it can be a boomer bust play. Yes, there's times where he's able to come down with the ball and able to get that done, but 1,000 yards against you. For whatever it is, normally teams start to catch on if they truly feel that you are an island-style lockdown corner. They did it with Sherman. They did it with Revis, and they did it with a lot of greats that are out there. And Diggs has the numbers up there like all-time greats as of now with these interceptions this season. But I'm curious as to why teams aren't, I guess, respecting that because, it's like, oh, my God, this guy is getting all these interceptions. We are not throwing it that way. They will literally do that time to time. They're not doing that with Diggs. He's still getting targeted.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't have a good answer for that either. It does feel like, and I've always said this, Cowboys are always going to get a little bit more respect. They're just such a big fan base. And when you look at betting, we talked about it at the beginning of the year, Cowboys are, I think they cover the spread on their season-long, win totals the least amount. Like they're always a little bumped up a little bit on the wins because everybody wants to bet the Cowboys over. So betting the under is one of the best bets in sports. It would have lost this year, just to be clear, but in general, it is one of the better bets in sports. I think it's like 75% since 2000 or some shit like that. It's a really, really good number. But last thing I want to talk about before we finish off this pod, we're already about 10 minutes over than we were planning on doing. I'm on this site here and I'm looking at, you can bet on all 5 of them basically. And with Aaron Rodgers feeling like he's wrapped up MVP, TJ Watt, a defensive player of the year, Jamar Chase, offensive rookie, Micah Parsons, defensive rookie, and Joe Burrow, comeback player at plus 200. Am I crazy for thinking that's a good bet?
No, am I crazy for thinking that I could try to figure out the math and do the one right above that at Dak? Because I do think that if there's any type of coin flip, all of these awards, it's comeback player between Dak and Joe Burrow. I mean,
you could bet 25 on both to win. So you would guarantee.
So the math doesn't.
It doesn't really work out. You would basically be winning $43 because you would bet 25 to win 50 and then 25 to win 430.
You got to take your coin flip on if you think it's Dak or Joe.
Yeah, but I mean, really, if you have the money, you could bet 100 on each and guarantee yourself, 175. You'd win 175. As long as everything else happened the right way, Dak or Joe Burrow can go
I do think everything
home.
else would happen the exact same way.
Yeah, so I mean, if you have 200, you're basically betting 200 to win 175, and the comeback player of the year is meaningless as long as it goes to Dak or Joe, which it should. It will.
I don't see anyone. The next one listed was Nick Bosa.
Yeah, Bosa's not getting it. I don't think.
No, he's plus 5,000.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's argument to be made there. I wouldn't hate anybody for making that bet. Last thing I wanted to talk about, that's all I have. Anybody else? You have anything?
No, I think I'm good.
You're good? All right. I said anybody else like we have a panel. We don't have a panel. It's just us. All right, guys, let's finish it up here. Check out our power rankings. We're about to record that right now. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.
7.